Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Today's episode will be on redistricting in Virginia, gerrymandering, and the April 21st vote, and just everything that you need to know as a Virginian and what exactly has happened and what's going on. I'm going to try to cut to the chase because nobody really likes a long video, so I'm just going to try to throw everything out there and make this as quick as possible for you guys. But before I start, I want to ask everybody who's watching, please comment, please like, subscribe, share this post. Every view, every like, every comment, everything helps me greatly because I don't get paid for this. So I have to completely rely on my viewers to just like and share my content so it can reach more people like you. Now, with that being said, let's hop straight into this, guys. So the Virginia Redistricting Amendment is coming up for vote on April the 21st of 2026. Early voting has already started. That started on March the 6th. Now, this will be a yes or no question. And I'm going to go ahead and put this up on screen for you guys. This is going to be the question. I'm just going to let you guys read it. And I'm not even going to give you my opinion on it. You can just take it for what it is. So this is going to be the question that will be asked on the ballot that you will take when you either early vote or when you in-person vote. So yeah, this is what the Democrats are pushing for. They're pushing for fair elections, which I don't understand why actually, I do understand why they're saying fair elections, because they're trying to trick people with this, because they want people to think that, oh, the elections aren't fair, which they are, because back in 2020, 2/3 of the Commonwealth voted in favor of creating an independent commission made of Democrats, independents, Republicans, to create a non-politicized election map. And this has worked gorgeously for the last 6 years since it was implemented during COVID back in 2020. And right now, the power shift is 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans for Virginia's 11 seats in Congress. So Democrats do hold the majority in Virginia, and Republicans only have about 48% of the state. So kind of makes sense that Democrats have that extra vote. But, it's better for Democrats than Republicans. But the Democrats want to make this 10-1. And the reasoning why, this is really the only reason that they're given for it, is Texas did it. Texas did it, therefore we want to do it, and it doesn't matter. Which, okay, yeah, Texas did it. Is it right? No, I'm not going to say if it's right or wrong. You can decide for that if you look into it. And the Democrats say, well, Texas started it, we're going to finish it here in Virginia. And, well, the answer to that really is that's wrong, because Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, all these northern states, they gerrymandered the crap out of their maps way before Texas did. Like, go look at the maps for all of the northeastern states. Look how many Republican voters are in each of those states, and look at their election districts and see how fair they are, because all of those states have 0 representatives in Congress. And the only state that makes sense is Delaware. And that's just because they're a smaller state. So I kind of give them, credit for their maps, even though they have a decent Republican voter base. It's really hard for Republicans to win that state just because of the population difference and how small the state is. But the rest of them, there's not really a reason why there's no Republicans, because it's completely politically gerrymandered. And the difference between Texas, the difference between North Carolina and Massachusetts and Connecticut and Rhode Island, all these other states, the one key difference about Virginia is we have a constitution. We have a state constitution that prohibits politicians from creating our elections and creating maps that are in favor of them. Because this new amendment, if we allow it to pass, it's going to let politicians choose their voters. Politicians will be able to choose their voters. And I don't care if you're Democrat or if you're Republican. No political party should be choosing who is their voter. It should be made up of a non-biased committee made up of Republicans, Democrats, and independents, like we have it now in our Constitution, to create fair and equal maps and elections for Virginians. And that really shouldn't be a difficult thing to understand or agree with. But Democrats are weaponizing Virginia's Constitution and trying to change it so they can get more votes, so they can get more seats in Congress. And it's a dirty long game, but when you have a majority in the House of Delegates and you have a narrow majority in the Senate, you kind of can do whatever you want, especially when you got a governor who just went from Republican to Democrat. It gives you a good majority to kind of do whatever you want. And I wish that they would use this as a time to prove Republicans wrong and make Virginia more affordable for everybody, and to actually make the state a safer place. They're not. I wish that they would try to prove Republicans wrong, because I think it would be great for Democrats and Republicans to try to compete against each other to try to see who can make the state of Virginia better. And that should be across the country. Every state, Republicans and Democrats should be competing against each other to see who can do a better job. Unfortunately, in this country, and unfortunately in this Commonwealth of Virginia, we don't have that right now. But, there's only but so much we can do. But this whole constitutional amendment completely goes against everything that Virginia residents, over 65% of Virginia residents, voted for just 6 years ago. So it's a crazy world out there. And then the key word about this is, when they made the amendment for the Constitution to redraw the maps, they said that it's temporary, that it's a temporary measure. What does temporary mean? They're changing the Constitution of Virginia. That's not very temporary. That's like saying I'm barely pregnant. What does barely pregnant mean? There's nothing temporary with politicians. Go anywhere on any political aisle, if it's Republican or Democrat, and go find something that they said, oh, it's temporary, oh, it's short term. You can't trust a politician. I don't care what party they are. There's very few politicians you should trust. You can't trust that they're going to make this a temporary measure. And then after it is a temporary measure, who's going to redraw the maps then? Are they going to make it go back to a bipartisan committee? Is it going to be made up of just all Democrats? Is it going to be the same group of people making the maps now? Because I highly doubt that Democrats are just going to, in 4 years, willingly give up 5 congressional seats to make it go back to normal. That I can almost guarantee you will not happen. If that happened, I would be amazed. But I doubt Democrats are going to give up 5 congressional seats in Virginia to make fair maps in 4 years. Like that, I wouldn't trust that. If the tables were reversed and it was Republicans, I wouldn't trust that either. If Republicans were going to take 5 seats or 4 seats or whatever, and they were going to give all those seats up, I wouldn't believe that. You can't trust politicians to actually do the right thing when it comes to things like that. So that's what's going on. So this will be a yes or no vote, as you saw earlier. Here's the question again. I'll put that back up on the screen. So yeah, it's going to take the balance from 6-5 down to 10-1. So just what Virginians need. This is kind of the gist of it. I mean, I don't want to kind of bore you guys or talk your head off about what exactly this is, because it's pretty simple. It's really just whether or not you want politicians in the state of Virginia to draw your maps. If you don't want politicians to draw your maps, vote no. If you want to leave everything the same and you don't want to change the way that the Constitution is currently written, you vote no. If you want Democrats to be able to draw your election maps, if you want to be able to cut counties like Augusta County into 3 different sections, you can do that. And one more thing about that, actually, there are like 4 counties in Virginia that are going to have 3 congressional districts. That is crazy. You don't cut communities up like that. And I'll even throw up the picture of what they're trying to do. Like, this stuff's kind of insane. So it's definitely not fair. And the fact that they're trying to say that this is fair is just sickening, because there's no way that it's fair. And they're trying to trick people. They're trying to trick people into thinking that they're trying to draw a fair election map, because people who are not political, they're going to see this question and go, oh, well, I support fair maps. I want fair elections. Everybody wants fair elections. It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. You want fair elections. The people who you vote for, you want the election to be fair. Like, people who don't know anything, they're going to go in and see this question, and how do you think they're going to vote? They politicize the question, which should be illegal. It really should. They shouldn't be allowed to do it the way they're doing it, but you can't do anything because they have the majority. Because Virginians did not get out to vote last year. The turnout for voting last year was insanely low. Like, Abigail Spanberger got less votes than Terry McAuliffe. And she still won. It's crazy. But that's the redistricting amendment for Virginia. Voting has already begun. It started on March the 6th. Your last day to vote is April 21st, which you will be able to go to the polls on the 21st of April. So you don't have to vote early if you don't want to, but you absolutely can, because you never know what's going to happen. You could get into a car accident. You could have something happen to you. Maybe a bad weather event. Probably not as likely in April, but you never know. So if you want to early vote, absolutely go out and early vote. Your vote will count. Don't worry about that. If you want to wait until April 21st, that's fine as well. But I urge every voter, regardless of whether you're voting yet no or not, I want you to get out and vote. I hope you vote no. I pray that you vote no. But I encourage you, whether you're voting yes or no, to get out and vote, as your voice matters. So on April the 21st, vote no to stop gerrymandering and to prevent politicians from drawing our maps here in the great Commonwealth of Virginia. So thank you guys. God bless, and I'll see you next time.